I haven't mentioned this up until now, but all of this was happening at Kaiser Permanente, and the care and treatment that I got over there from my doctors and my nurses was beyond incredible. I mean, they were just amazing people and they were great at what they did. Like I said in the last video, I got admitted pretty late on Friday night. I didn't make it up to the room until about 11 or 11:30. And at that point, I still didn't know what was going on. Even when they moved me from that room, that initial room, to the oncology ward, I still didn't know what was happening. I didn't know that I was moving to the oncology ward. I was just lying down in the bed and going for a ride, basically. I don't even know why nobody told me. It's not like I was going to figure it out sooner or later. And when we got to the oncology ward, they told me that I was going to spend the night. And the minute my mom heard that, I had a new roommate.
Hey, I never asked you. Yeah. You like guacamole? Oh! Open! Oh, God! Run in! Run in!
So for every night that I spent in that tiny hospital bed, my mom was right there next to me in an even smaller, and it wasn't even a bed. I mean, it was a chair that folded out into like sleep, I don't know, but it didn't look comfortable at all. But she was there with me, and she was there for every single day. Initially, the plan was for me just to spend 2 nights in the hospital, so spend the weekend there under observation, no treatment. On Monday morning, my oncologist was going to come in to do a bone marrow biopsy, and depending on what that biopsy showed, we were going to go from there. She was supposed to come in on Monday morning, but she was there the very next day. She came in early Saturday morning and did the biopsy. Because of this, we were able to move everything along that much quicker, and she sped up the whole process by coming in like that. Before she did the biopsy, she talked with my family, and I had given them permission, obviously, because during this whole time I was asleep most of the time. So I gave permission to my doctors to talk directly with my family. She told them that what I had was most probably ALL, which is acute lymphoblastic leukemia. And that's just because patients who get sick like I did around my age, that's what they get diagnosed with. And if it was ALL, they were going to have to move me to another Kaiser facility. I don't remember which one off the top of my head, but they had a specific program. That location had a specific program for ALL, and all their ALL patients go there. So 2 days later, on Monday morning, the results came out, and that was when, for the first time, I heard the one thing that nobody ever wants to hear in their life, and that was that I had cancer.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
As it turns out, I didn't have ALL, I had AML, which is acute myeloid leukemia, or acute myelogenous leukemia, or acute non-lymphocytic leukemia. So many names for this wonderful disease. And that meant that I was actually able to stay at my location. I didn't have to move. The average age of an AML patient is 65, and pretty much everybody I know has one point or another told me that I act like an old man, so I guess it kind of fits. There's a few different subtypes for AML. Mine was AML M4, and kind of like a little biology, I guess. Your bone marrow makes stem cells, and these stem cells go on to become either white blood cells, red blood cells, or platelets. Before they go on to become those things, they either go into one of two cell lines, either the myeloid cell line or the lymphoid cell line. And the cells that go onto the myeloid cell line become white blood cells. And in their most immature form, these are known as blast cells or myeloid blast cells. And for a person with healthy bone marrow, they have about 5% blast cells. That means that only 5% of the cells in their bone marrow haven't matured yet. Everything else has gone on to become a mature white blood cell. Anything more than that is actually pretty bad. It can be a sign of disease. Mine was at 80%. So it was basically these little immature bastards that were killing me. And later on that day, I had I think it was two specialty nurses, they came in to put my PICC line. A PICC line is a peripherally inserted central catheter that goes into your arm. And it's not only used for patients undergoing chemo, it can be used for anybody who's going to get a lot of IV treatments like for a long time. So you don't have to get poked every time, you don't have to put in a new IV line. It's pretty helpful in that sense. And first, the PICC line that they put in was only supposed to be temporary because they were going to take it out and put in a central venous catheter, a CVC. That's the one that goes into your chest. But my doctor said that I think my blood counts were too low. There was too much of a risk for me to put it in my chest, so they just left it in my arm. And these PICC lines, they get it hooked up to the IV, so you can have many different IV fluid, IV medication, and you're always hooked up to it essentially. And initially they wanted to put it on my left arm, but they said they found better blood flow in my right arm, which really wouldn't have been a problem except for the fact that I'm right-handed, and that meant that I had to learn how to wipe my ass with my left, because with all the lines going in, you can't even move your arm. Like, there's no freedom there. And once they put in the PICC line, we were pretty much ready to start, and we were ready to start the next day. So Tuesday, everything was set, we were good to go, but they didn't have the medication ready on hand. So we had to wait another day for us to start the wonderful process known as chemotherapy.